a cup of coffee, sit back and listen to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life features stories to inspire and motivate you. Live your best life now. Listen, learn, think, and decide. Change your attitude, change your life. Visit cyacyl.com.
Welcome to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in. Is it possible to have it all? Confidence, romance, fulfilling work, inner and outer beauty, empowered children, and a cure for the ache that there's something more? Today's guest, Cynthia Occelli, says absolutely. Cynthia is the author of the new book, Resurrecting Venus, a women's guide to love, work, motherhood, and soothing the sacred ache. She's here today to explain how to dissolve the barriers that keep you from the life you were created to live and how to free yourself of outside expectations. Once a teen dropout and welfare mom, Cynthia now has a law degree and is a life empowerment coach and motivational speaker. Welcome, Cynthia. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Cynthia, you dropped out of school in the 9th grade and were a single mom by the age of 19. Without a high school degree, you graduated law school in the top 3% of your class. You're now an attorney, an author, and successful businesswoman. So many women, girls in particular, that start out the way you did, I think they have this sense that they're doomed, that their future really doesn't hold much for them. So when and how did you make this shift, and what caused you to do so?
Well, first, I had that view that I had very low expectations that I could actually have a life that I wanted, and that was really because I was listening to everyone around me. And when my son was born, seeing him really jarred me, and it was a turning point that inspired me to reach for it against all odds, to reach for a better life for both of us, because I really couldn't see him grow up with a future that was mirroring my past. And against all odds, just believing in that little glimmer of hope and possibility, that if it was possible for anyone, it could be possible for me. That's kind of what I held on to and took one action step after another, getting up when you fall and ultimately believing in yourself. That's the key.
I read one of your quotes, and I absolutely love it. The beautiful thing about starting from less than zero is that you have nothing to lose.
Absolutely, and that's something, that is, you have to find something good wherever you are, and whatever happens in life, there is always something good. And for me, any change I made, any result I created would have been an improvement. So there was nothing really to fear. The fear was not changing.
That had to be an incredible feat that you accomplished. I mean, you're a single mom, you have a baby. Did you have a lot of support? You had no high school degree. How did you even make this happen?
At the time, I didn't have a lot of support, but I had people in my past who had said things to me that stuck with me. I had a woman who was like a pseudo-grandmother, and she said, anything is possible when you believe in yourself and have some faith that life will help you and support you. And I wanted that to be true, and I needed to know if it could be true. But how do you know if you don't get out there and try? You're certain to fail if you don't try.
Well, and Cynthia, it seems to me that you finally got rid of your excuses not to do something.
Yeah, absolutely. Your excuses, they're really mechanisms that we use to comfort ourselves and stop us from stepping out and trying. And once you let go of the I can'ts and I shouldn't, or it won't work for me, I'll fail, and you just go, you are guaranteed to succeed when you persevere.
For our listeners, you overcame that initial obstacle in your life, and then you went on, you got married, you had a family, you encountered another devastating blow that really would have stopped anyone from moving forward. Tell us what happened.
Well, it was like I had this wonderful Cinderella story where I got, I got out of poverty, I got into an amazing life, and then my prince had a brain aneurysm, and he lost our memories, a lot of his short-term memory and a lot of our marital memories, and a lot of the personal relationship that we had just completely evaporated. And he survived, but he was very, very injured, and for all intents and purposes, our marriage was over. I was a single mom. I was responsible for all of the businesses, for our kids, for absolutely everything. And it was really another moment where I said, oh, wow, I don't know if I can do this. And it was a very deep grieving time of feeling like maybe life isn't supposed to be good for me.
So you were knocked down twice. How did you find the inner strength to get up again?
The second time, thankfully, I really had a moment where I ran into actually a woman in a grocery store who was old, and she spilled all her change on the floor, and I picked it up, and as I was picking it up, she chastised me not to take it. And I handed it to her, and it struck me that she was so angry and upset and bitter and jaded, and I could see that that could be my future, and I wasn't going to accept that. So it was, again, acting and saying, I'm going to choose a better life, and it's going to happen, and believing it, and then taking the action, and it absolutely works.
Cynthia, you talk about masculine energy and feminine power. What do these terms mean?
Well, masculine energy, there's no negative energy, and we both have both energies within ourselves. But the masculine energy, that driving force to build and control and dominate and create, it's a good energy, and you see all the production it's created in our world. It makes us a very good life. But our feminine energy has been really given a bad rap and defined as weakness, and those are the energies of being kind and compassionate and cooperative and far-seeing of the consequences of our actions, and giving a priority to play and to our intuitive knowing, and just all of those aspects of the feminine. Are such treasures, and they transform my entire life, and it's so hard because so many women think that they're bad.
Well, how can we utilize our feminine power when society tell us that we're bad? I mean, here's a great example. A while back, I had a client that was behind in payment, and I drafted a very carefully created letter. It was factually based. It had just, pure fact. There wasn't a piece of emotion involved in this whatsoever. And this man sends me back an email saying, you're reacting emotionally. And I'm like, emotionally? So how do we combat that?
Well, first, I'm not necessarily sure that it's a negative thing to react emotionally, but especially where you haven't acted emotionally and someone else says you have, they're really not telling you anything about you. They're telling you about their own story. Mm-hmm. And we can't spend our lives living in response to what other people are thinking and what they're believing about us. If we consistently march to the beat of our inner intuition, our inner drummer, and let that be our guide. Of course, you're going to come up against people who disagree and don't get it, but that'll happen no matter what you do. But what will result if you're consistently honoring your truth is that your life will reflect that truth, and it'll be something that's very fulfilling for you.
So how do we do this? How do we blend both parts?
Well, I think the first and primary thing is to give yourself permission to really say, okay, it's not a negative or a weakness. I'm not going to be the underdog or lose because I'm choosing to live a life that isn't based on competitive dominance and dog-eat-dog world. I'm going to I'm going to take the action of giving myself the compassion that I want to see in the world, the kindness, the self-love. I'm going to make my care a really high priority and trust that this will translate into a more successful life for me, and it does. Really just making that decision and then following it up with action.
Do you think women today, as we're becoming more self-aware, do you think we're doing this naturally?
Oh, no. I counsel a lot of women, and I get the women who were born and bred to be superwomen. They are the breadwinner, the mother, the father. They are the handyman. They do everything. They are the laboring oar in their romantic relationships, and it doesn't make them happy or feel successful. It makes them exhausted. We have to define our own unique version of what having it all is. If we're being honest with ourselves, our all is going to be, we want fulfilling relationships. Fulfilling relationships are a give and take. We're not going to be just completely giving. We're going to allow ourselves to receive. We're going to allow the world and our community and our sisters and our men to help and support us, rather than feeling like we have to be everything ourselves.
So we don't have to do like the Anjali commercial where we used to have to earn the bacon, fry it, serve it, and clean the pans. We can have it all where someone can actually maybe wash the dishes for us.
That's part of having it all. I mean, for me, the fundamental piece of having it all is enjoying it.
And that's what we forget to do.
Yeah.
And I think on that note, we're going to take a break for this week's Good Life Tips. Stay with us for information to help you make the positive life changes that we talk about on the show. Welcome back to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman, and our guest today is Cynthia Occelli, author of the book Resurrecting Venus, A Women's Guide to Love, Work, Motherhood, and Soothing the Sacred Ache. Cynthia, before break, we were talking about defining what having it all means to us. And what would you say is going on in the mind of men today?
When I wrote the book, I had the wonderful privilege of interviewing a lot of men in person and online from the Western world. And what I discovered is that many of them feel a bit lost in the afterglow of the women's revolution, the feminist revolution, because they don't know what to do. They don't know how to not be wrong, and they're trepidatious and concerned about it. And a lot of women say to me, well, there are no men around who want to stand up and be men and pull their weight and be leaders anymore. And it's not true. They're there. It's just that our society is portraying them in a whole different light. If you look on television now, the men are bumbling idiots who can't get anything done without a woman to boss them around. And it's just not true. There are so many wonderful men out there who are ready to stand there and help you in your life and support you and co-create with you rather than have you boss them around.
I think we're in that moment of transition where people really don't know what to do. Like you said, either the men are, that really hard as nails, sexist, stereotypical businessman, or they're the bumbling idiot. So we really do have to find that middle ground.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But the men are there, and they love to be the hero. They want to support, they want to help, they want to contribute, and they're not obsessed with the things that we as women think they're obsessed with. They don't care about the extra pounds. They're not looking at your lip gloss color. They really want a woman who's happy inside.
Cynthia, I read another one of your quotes where it said, "Only when a flower recognized her splendor did the world tell her she was beautiful."
Yes. I live in Los Angeles, and I have a lot of actress clients who are so obsessed with their outer appearance, and they micro-focus on, a little mar or a scar or a blood vessel in an eye. I have one girl, and it's so ridiculous because they're missing their entire experience and their own beauty, and they're not able to appreciate the value that they have, their inner beauty, because they're obsessing on these little things. And once they're able to, usually through active self-love, recognize their own value, once they realize how beautiful they are, everything transforms on the outside.
Cynthia, for a young girl who may be a single mom right now and feels the way you felt back then, that her future is doomed, what would you say to that person? What advice would you offer? And what steps would you advise that girl can take to pull her life together?
I would say to dream big and to hold on to those dreams. I had a practice. I didn't even know what I was doing. When I used to sit in the garage and I'd stare at the rafters in the ceiling, I would imagine what an amazing life would be, how perfect. I would fantasize about this perfect life. And I did that to escape the misery that I was in, not because I was using my imagination to consciously create. But in 5 years, I was living that life down to the details. So it's very powerful to dream big and to hold on to that dream because it changes your brain and it changes what you notice. You'll notice opportunities. You'll attract people and recognize them when they show up that can help you get to where you want to go. And believe that it's possible for you because it absolutely is. And also to treasure the moment because these moments with our children when they're young, they're fleeting. And when they're gone, they're gone. And they may seem like they're heavy and going to last forever. But as I look back at my moments in the garage, those tender moments with my baby are some of the best moments of my life. And to then think of conscious action that you can take, small steps taken consistently over time, create tremendous results. And finally, ask for help. Look for places that can help and support you in learning about the things that you're interested in. Start investing in yourself and becoming an avid learner. Turn off the television. Get away from just clicking around randomly surfing on the internet. Become interested in something and let it, and it will grow and take you somewhere.
Cynthia, are there any resources that you can recommend that can help?
I think that's a very personal thing. For me, I found a lot of strength in spiritual community. Sometimes another thing that really helped me was getting involved in helping those that were even less fortunate than me. Going out and reading to kids that were homeless and getting involved to give myself a sense of inner value was extraordinarily important. And also finding other parents with kids that are are the same age and parents who are like-minded. I had another single mom who wanted to go somewhere with her life, and we were able to really support one another.
What do you say to someone who's afraid to take a risk?
I would say examine and imagine what life looks like when you don't take the risk. You'll understand that it's more scary and terrifying to do nothing than it is to get out there and try something.
I know sometimes women who are stay-at-home moms, they think that these conversations that we're having are just for those professional working moms out there. What would you say to that person who works from the home? I mean, come on, being a mom, that's the hardest job you'll ever have. What about that person? How can she tap into her feminine power?
I love the moms who stay at home, and I get so upset that they undervalue and underestimate the effort and the contribution that they're making to society. And what I want to say to them, and what always happens, because I end up working with a lot of them after the kids grow up and leave, or maybe their relationship status change and they find themselves having to go back to work, and they show up saying, I don't know how to do anything. And I just go, are you kidding me? You know how to manage a household, a budget. You know how to work 24 hours a day under pressure, under sleep deprivation. You know how to organize. You're a problem solver. You know how to get things done. Anyone is lucky to have you. And to the moms who are at home, I have a section in the book called The Mandate, which says it's perfectly fine to stay at home and be supported, and it's a wonderful contribution. But you always have to keep a toe in the water, meaning keep your interests going, stay active, stay involved, because God forbid something happen, like what happened to me with my ex. You need to be able to get out there and earn for yourself. And so staying very active and very interested and ever expanding is critical as a stay-at-home mom.
Cynthia, we've been talking about actions that people should be taking. What are some tangible steps they can do in order to tap into this feminine power?
Sure. The first thing, and this is foundational in every aspect, whatever you want to improve in your life, is learning and practicing self-love. And people say, well, that just sounds so like a platitude. I don't stand in the mirror and say, I love you, I love you. It's not that. It could be that. That could be a part of it. But it's an action of every day consciously taking the steps that really benefit and care for you, as though you were a child entrusted to your own care, really giving yourself that love and valuing every part of you. That's the first step in opening up to your dreams, because when you're loving yourself and seeing the value in yourself, you want to give yourself more of the things that you love. And as you do that, you're naturally going to exercise more kindness to yourself, more compassion. You're going to learn and get connected with your intuition, which is a very powerful force that can really help women navigate using that feminine power and avoid a lot of mistakes and really tap into wonderful opportunities. You're receptive and you're playful, and your self-care makes you, when you care for yourself, that kind of slips through the ethers, and other people will then learn how to treat you.
The book is Resurrecting Venus, a women's guide to love, work, motherhood, and soothing the sacred ache. If you'd like more information about Cynthia, you can visit her website, CynthiaOccelli.com. That's OCCELLI, CynthiaOccelli.com. Or as always, you can visit our website, CYACYL.com. That stands for Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. While on our site, listen to past shows as podcasts, read the digital magazine, take part in our book club, sign up for the mailing list, and be sure to follow the show on Facebook and Twitter. Cynthia, what would be some final thoughts that you would like our listeners to take away from this interview?
I think the most important thing is to not shy away from your dreams, to really understand that this life is brief, it's precious, it's fleeting, and not to wait. Don't let fear hold you back. Mistakes and failures are strewn all over the path to success. Accept that and move forward. Take those intelligent risks. Reach for your dreams.
Cynthia, thank you so much for joining us today. As I said before, I think that we have this, or especially as women, we have this notion that we either have to be tough as nails or we're just written off as an emotional creature that really shouldn't be paid attention to. And we have to find that balance between our masculine energy and our feminine power. And that's why I'm so glad that you were here to share this with us today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I completely agree with you.
This is Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in.